What is going on, guys? The Inside the Blue podcast, and today we're talking about why the New York Yankees have their biggest test of the season, and they have the gauntlet ahead of them, and if they want to win this division, they have to play very well over their next 12 games. And this is a tough series ahead for the Yankees. We know that they have not been great against 500 teams, a record of 37-37 this season. So this is the big question for the Yankees, right? We saw that they could take care of teams that are bad and that have no talent, not much talent around them. The Nationals have some talent, but they are not a team destined for playoffs, and they are just playing because they have to. And that's the same thing with the White Sox. They don't have much talent at all. They've traded away their talent. They've lost a lot of talent. And the Yankees took care of them pretty comfortably outside of their final game of that series. The big question, of course, is what type of team is this? They've fooled us many times. They look good for a bit. They have fundamental baseball. They look like a World Series potential team at times. But then again, they're beating up against teams that are not good. And that's not going to show you that you're a World Series contender one bit. And with the Yankees, they got to find ways to beat teams above 500 and beat them pretty consistently. And that's been the problem with this team. They have a deep lineup. You know, they have one of the better offenses in baseball, but then it's fundamental issues, it's errors, it's bad baseball, bad base running, and that all adds up to being the team that you are right now. Now, that being said, you do have a chance still to win this division, as crazy as that sounds, and how the Toronto Blue Jays were 7 games back against the Yankees or something like that, and they found a way to overtake the division for a while, and now with the Yankees beating up on bad teams and the Toronto Blue Jays having a tough series against the Milwaukee Brewers, the Yankees are right back in it of a potential chance of winning the AL East. Now, you could win the AL East and still be playing in a wild card, right? So, I mean, then again, the division, of course, is a big thing, for the resume of this season. But we want to get back to the World Series and show that we were a good team. But the biggest question is what type of team is this going to be over the next 12 games, right? Your schedule is not easy. You go 3 at Houston, 3 against the Toronto Blue Jays at the Bronx, 3 at home against the Detroit Tigers, and then 3 against Fenway, against the Boston Red Sox, of course, at Fenway. The plus side for this upcoming Houston series is you don't have to worry about Hunter Brown, who's been one of the better pitchers in baseball this season, but who you do have to worry about is former Minnesota Twin, former Astro before, Carlos Correa. He is a Yankee killer. He's someone that you don't want to play against, unfortunately. And we know that with Houston, they were a much better team offensively with Carlos Correa, and they're building that team again that could make some noise in the playoffs. They could potentially win the division. I'd have to check again with the AL West and how close that is, but anything can happen with the Houston Astros. They can get hot and win this division like that, and Seattle could plummet. And right now, Seattle, I believe, is behind the Yankees right now for the wild card. I think they're like 3 games back or something, but I believe Houston, is the front runner to win that division because the Angels aren't making it. The Athletics are a young and upcoming team, and the Texas Rangers have dealt with a lot of issues and not a lot of consistent baseball, but this season, the Yankees have played these teams, multiple times. And, I mean, the Boston Red Sox, the one to highlight the most, they're 2-8 against the Boston Red Sox this season. And they went on a bad cold streak, a lot of losses, and then they win their final game at the Bronx. But, with Boston, you lose off of fundamental errors. I think you match up pretty decently position to position. And I do like your rotation a little bit more than the Boston Red Sox, but Garrett Crochet, when that man plays against the Yankees, he's giving you 8 strikeouts, he's giving you 6 or 7 strong innings, and the Yankees got to find a way to, build and try and defeat Garrett Crochet. I mean, he is one of the AL Cy Young favorites besides Tariq Skubal, and I believe you might see Tariq Skubal. I'm not sure how the pitching will line up in that series, but you got 6 games before you take on Tariq Skubal. And a combined record, as we break it down. So the Boston Red Sox against the Yankees are 2-8. You're 1-2 against Houston. You're 1-2 against Detroit, and you're 3-8 against the Toronto Blue Jays. So, I mean, you're 5-16 against AL East opponents just there, and then you're 1-2 opponents against a team in the AL West and an AL Central team. That's a combined record of 7-20, and that's not going to cut it, especially if you have to play one of these teams in the playoffs. That being said, regular season doesn't correlate to the postseason. We've seen that with a bunch of teams that have a great regular season and then plummet in the postseason. But to me, it's a little bit different when you take on an AL East team in the playoffs. I don't think things really differ. I think when the Yankees take on the Boston Red Sox, they struggle, and they have not seen Toronto in the playoffs. So now let's break it down of how do you win this type of series and how do you win these upcoming 12 games, right? Be fundamental and be clean on the base paths and be in the infield. Too many times that I've seen the Yankees lose game from fundamental issues and just playing Little League baseball, making those Little League mistakes like getting caught at first or not knowing how many outs there are or, missing spots and your control is off. So you gotta find a way to figure that out, especially against Boston, who you're upcoming against, and all those type of teams, Toronto, Houston, and Detroit. Now for the Yankees, you are getting Max Fried to start Game 1, Will Warren to start Game 2, and then you're getting Carlos Rodon to start Game 3. Honestly, those are the three guys you probably want there the most, except for Cam Schlitter, and we'll get into him a little bit later in the podcast. But the thing that I do really like about this is that you do play well against Houston, in my opinion. And I know you're 1-2, but I do think on the road you do play fairly well against Houston. The only thing is you got to be fundamental, and you got to want it more than them. You got to take at least 2 in this series. I mean, a sweep against Houston's a statement, but you got to take 2 out of 3. You got to find a way to beat Detroit at home. You got to defend your home turf, right? And that's what the Yankees need to find a way. Our number 2 is getting great starts from your starter. It starts with Max Fried. He's been better over his last 2 or 3 starts. Obviously, we know those last a couple before were very hard to watch. I think he was dealing with something, in my opinion, that was the reason why he was struggling. But now Max Fried seems to be playing better baseball. We know we can get out of Max Fried. We can get 6 strong innings out of Max Fried. We know when that curveball is working and his stuff is working. He's one of the better pitchers in baseball at picking guys off. So maybe we get a few pickoffs at Houston. But another thing is these bats have to come alive. We cannot be waiting until the 6th or 7th inning to get runs. So that's our number 3 key to winning the series is getting your hitters 1-9 and producing everywhere. And then number 4, it's playing your best lineup every single day. I don't want, this is the excuse, we got to get him some reps, or the thing with Anthony Volpe we'll get into in a second, but I want to talk about Cam Schlitter. I do. He has been a young and upcoming arm. There were rumors that he was going to be a potential Eugenio Suarez deal. We know he's here to stay, and that's what I really like that the Yankees kept on and kept Cam Schlitter, because this guy, 2-2 over his 9 appearances, He's 2-2 record-wise. But 2.61 ERA, and that number has only been dropping down, and 54 strikeouts. I mean, he just recently had 8 strikeouts against the Chicago White Sox. He's been fun to watch, and I'm looking at his game log right now. When he took on Washington, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, took on Tampa Bay at George Steinbrenner Field, 8 strikeouts, Minnesota Twins, he had 6, and he had 3 against the Houston Astros, going 5 innings. But that's what you want. You want a starter that's going at least 5 innings and giving you strikeouts and giving you good starts. And when things get rough, bases are loaded, you got man on, strike him out. And that's what Cam Schlitter has been doing. He's been fun to watch. He's a young and upcoming arm, and I'm excited to see that man, pitch in the postseason, assuming that the Yankees get there. The concerns, right? We got to get to the concerns, and that's Anthony Volpe written all over it. I've seen fans, I've talked to a bunch of Yankee fans saying they gotta cut this guy, or I wouldn't say cut, excuse me on that, but they gotta send him down to AAA. They gotta give Jose Caballero or Ahmed Rosario the job, and all of this type of stuff. Call someone up, all of this nonsense. They're not gonna send down Anthony Volpe anytime soon, and the problem is they don't get consistent at-bats at Anthony Volpe, and some at-bats just look terrible, non-major league-like, swings out of his shoes, all that type of stuff. Now, like I've made a video so many times of Anthony Volpe being on a roller coaster for his at-bats and his season, right? As a Yankee, ever since he's gotten here, he has been on a roller coaster, right? His last 5 games, he's hitting 316. Say what you want about the opponents that he's taken on, the White Sox, Nationals, all those guys, Tampa Bay. And then his last 15, he's batting 137. And now, listen, I've said multiple times, batting average can be taken a little bit out of proportion, but not when I see the eye test and the at-bats that Anthony Volpe gives. Anthony Volpe has not given the at-bats that Yankee fans want. The expectations aren't there. His batting average continues to dip in the 200s. He's been a 200 career hitter. And what I've been saying so many times is just hit the ball and put it in play, but don't swing up on the ball. Hit it in the gaps. Get those blue pits. I don't care how you get on base and how you elevate your average and OPS, slugging, all those metrics. We got to see you on base because we know that Anthony Volpe on the base paths is good, right? He could bring some speed and steal you some bags and get you in scoring position. That's what I've wanted all along with Anthony Volpe, is get on base and cause havoc on the base paths, but not get out, And obviously, Anthony Volpe tends to get out a lot, and he tends to make Yankee fans hate him even more. Another guy, or before we get into him, the bullpen, it has to be good, right? That starts with Duvall, that starts with Bednar. Luke Weaver, Devin Williams needs to be good. Obviously, in low leverage situations, he's been very good. But when it gets to those 8th, 9th inning, we need Devin Williams to pitch. He has not performed well. Now, a guy that I wanted to talk to is Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham. I did not expect 28 home runs this season. I didn't. 28 home runs, 57 RBIs. He's played very good baseball. He's got a batting average of 268, 15 hits in his last 15 games, and 11 RBIs. I did not expect this one bit out of Trent Grisham, honestly. From a guy who's batting, 189 last year, to all of a sudden being a very impactful player, and probably expect to get a payday of, $15, $16 million per season. Do I think the Yankees are going to re-sign him? I'm not sure, because they have a young prospect in Spencer Jones that wants to get to the majors ASAP, but I said that Trent Grisham could be a potential trade piece because of the value you get out of him, but honestly, I'm glad they kept him. He has been phenomenal, and I'm glad that they kept him. But let's get into the final part of this podcast, and it's how you have to figure this out, right? The ending of this podcast, the summary, you got to figure out. You're at the point, you're at late August, September, is coming on. We're getting ready for October baseball. September football is around the corner. But you got to show that you're a legitimate team, right? You don't invest this much money into this roster to be a wild card team, but that's who we are, apparently. We are just a team that is fighting for a wild card and potentially the AL East. But, like I said, 37-37 against 500 teams is not going to cut it. You need good pitching, you need good offense, and you need good fielding. You need good base running. All of that needs to happen. And it starts with Boone, preparing these guys very well, the scouting, everything. But I think the Yankees can have a good series for their next 12 games. I think the biggest ones are all of them. Not even just a few because you take on the AL East. You got to find a way to win games, and you got to find a way to win them consistently. But anyways, guys, I think that is going to do it for this video. This is the Yankee Gauntlet. I am your host for the Inside the Blue podcast. Remember, the NFL is right around the corner. The MLB is heading into that October baseball, September ball, September call-ups. JC Escar is back with the team. I'm excited. I'm excited for this next upcoming stretch. Maybe we'll have some live streams for you guys, but that is going to do it for this video. Leave a like, leave a follow, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.